Hey everyone, going live a few minutes early, so I apologize. You're probably getting the notification right now that I'm going live in a few minutes. So I apologize for not making it yesterday for Tuesday. It was a little crazy with the impending snow and ice. I had some people move to Tuesday, and then we got rain. So that's how things typically work. So I thought I would jump on here. I was going to try to do about 4 o'clock again, but it looks like my afternoon, and all of a sudden I lost my voice, and my afternoon's going to be a little crazy today. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump on it here at noon or 11:51, a little bit close. Sorry, I was recording stuff and my voice was fine. So I apologize for not jumping on here yesterday. So today, though, if you remember back to Sunday, which seems like a long time ago, where I posted what I was going to talk about today, I was going to talk all about content, and definitely want to still do that. I want to talk about planning and scheduling content, because that's so important, and it's an important piece of the puzzle. And it seems like every time that I work with somebody and we start putting out consistent content, it really does drive the traffic to their website. They have increasing clients and customers, and so content is still really, really important. It's an important piece of that, integrated marketing communications puzzle that we're putting together here. So a couple of things that I got questions about is, how to kind of integrate it all and be on different platforms and push out the same message without sounding like it's the same message everywhere. And so one of the programs that was brought up and one of the questions I got was all about Hootsuite, and asking me a ton of questions about Hootsuite and how I use it. And I'm glad I kind of saved this question. I got this one of the first times I asked for questions for Q&A Tuesday, but I kind of saved it. And I'm so glad I did, because just in the last couple weeks, Instagram has decided that they're going to allow programs like Hootsuite and Sprout Social, and actually those are the two that they're allowing right now, to auto post to Instagram. And long story short, it's all about this integration with Facebook, and it's really great. I'm still kind of testing it out. If you're in the closed group, I posed a question like, are you seeing any kind of difference from auto posting to manually pushing it out? We still have the algorithm thing to deal with no matter who's posting it. So there's a lot of those kinds of things we still have to work through. But Hootsuite is a really great platform for those people that have multiple platforms that they need to push out content to. And it allows for a free version, which most of my clients are okay with. Used to be able to do 5 platforms. I believe now it's 3 for the paid version. Those who have had to upgrade, it's only like $9.99 a month. So it's really a good return on investment for them if they have, multiple platforms. And I'll just give you some examples how people use this. They might have a Twitter and LinkedIn company pages hooked up there. And then they might have 2 or 3 lead salespeople that they want to make sure that content is consistent with them on LinkedIn, let's say. So we would put all of those platforms, so profiles or pages, on Hootsuite. And then we would kind of craft messages that are similar, but maybe sound a little bit like that particular person, or a little bit more formal and, not as short in characters like over on Twitter, but it's all published there. So we would put the content there, we would choose which platform to push it to, we would actually schedule it through Hootsuite. And that's kind of I think when Hootsuite first came about, there was no Facebook scheduler, so we were using that for all of those platforms. And if you have heard me talk before, I usually say to stay away from Hootsuite when it comes to Facebook, because we know that they don't really like that. Yet, when I push from Instagram over to Facebook, it seems to do just fine. So there might be some changes there. Things change so rapidly that there might be some changes in that. But that's where I'm seeing people are using Hootsuite. And so what they do is they are able to see this in like a calendar function. And so they're able to kind of adjust the verbiage a little bit, see what's going out beyond what is putting a mass communication, what is each individual platform putting out, and then they can really integrate it together. And this is a question I got because I think people feel like, well, if I just put one mass message to all these platforms and somebody follows me on all of those platforms, they're just going to be like, okay, another message from this person, which may end up happening some, but we can always kind of customize it a little bit depending on the platform and depending on, if it's an individual person we're pushing it out. And that's just one example of how, clients use Hootsuite. Another question I got with when content was, how to create this daring content. Everyone can, write a message. Sometimes it lacks call to action, which is a huge part of content. Some people share articles. If they're not their articles, they're pushing people to an outside website. Hey, Lindsay. Hey, Rachel. And so we try to kind of use those tools, that are provided to us, like blogs, graphic programs like Adobe Spark, which is one that I've been using a lot more because I feel like Canva is really being saturated, but canva.com is one that most of you probably are familiar with. Those are some graphic programs that you can create social media graphics for based on your content. So we use those kind of programs or blogs, whether they're our own or they're curated from another organization, but you probably want to put them on your own so they come back to your website. And we use those when we create content. And so it's another way to differentiate the content. So if you have Instagram and you have, Twitter and you have Facebook and you're putting out the same message, you don't have to use the same graphic. You don't have to use the same photo, even the same link. You could link them to something else. So it doesn't have to be the same. It might just be the same consistent message or brand going out there, but not necessarily having to be, what it takes. I'm seeing if I have questions up here. See what it takes to, really push that out without being the same message on every platform. So if you do have that person that's following you on the platforms, then you don't have to worry about that as much. So where do you pull content from? And this is a big, question I got several times is, sometimes that's lack content. We don't have a lot going on. We don't know what to post when there isn't things going on, or if there's high times. We all kind of worked with those organizations where, okay, this is, especially like right now, tax season, accountant, this is their time. What can we be posting that can just be auto posted that they don't have to worry about, where on their off time they can be a little bit more hands-on? And that's where I really encourage people. And when I do my VIP days, we actually go through every national day of the week, industry related and non-industry related, and we plug those in on a calendar. And I think sometimes people think I'm silly, especially when I have it around here somewhere. I'm moving my office around, so I have no idea where anything is. It's like a National Day of the Week calendar that's actually a physical calendar. And you can actually go to, I think it's nationaldayoftheweek.com or something like that, or Google that, and you'll find it, and it'll give you an updated list of all of those. But when I had the calendar, I'd bring this on the VIP days, and people were just kind of like, you sure you know what you're talking about? But it's all about trending and keeping that content in front of people so we can use that to our advantage. So if it's something that we are already doing, it's based on our industry, it's something that maybe for morale, for employees, your employees want to participate in Ugly Christmas Sweater Day, which I think is like the #1 national holiday. Thank you, Rachel. Now I don't even have to. Daysoftheyear.com. Oh, I don't know if I go to that one. I'll link mine too later. Thank you, Rachel. She linked that there. So obviously she uses that too. So that really does help push that content because it's trending on social media, so then that post does better. So then when we do put out that communication that we really want people to know about, or that kind of salesy approach that we're putting out only 20% of the time, that people are seeing that because Facebook's saying, people really like this organization because they engage with them. So it might sound silly to look through those, but I do have clients, and a lot of it pertains to certain clients. I do have clients that absolutely, use this, and it plays off of things that they're doing internally that they see more customers come through the door. Like National Pizza Day. If there's not a pizzeria, celebrating that, they're really missing out because that is something that's really trending on social media, and everybody's talking about it. So beyond your national days, you can play off your events as well. And I've been doing a lot of what I call content road mapping. And so what that is, kind of in a short version of this, is if something always happens, like I'll use a real estate, for example, because I just did one of those. If you always know, not always, hopefully every day, you list a house, but let's say one day you get a house to list, and that's day one. What do you do with that when it comes to marketing on day one? So you write down everything you do on day one, or maybe week one, depending on how much it is. And it really depends on your content. And then 7 days from then, what do you do? And so by mapping that out, events, or like in this case, a new house listing, anything like that, you can really map that out, which allows you to plan your social media a little better as well. Because it's just not, okay, well, we're having this event. We know we have it the third Tuesday of every month. I'm just going to create a year worth of events. Don't do that. Because, or at least don't do that on Facebook. You can plan it all you want on a piece of paper, but that takes the momentum out of that. If you plan an event and I get an event on Facebook inviting me to an event in October, I'm one, going to probably ignore it because that's like one of my pet peeves. But two, if I even mark something like interested or going, I'm going to forget about it. And it's not going to be brought to my attention until right at the end, right before it happens, is what Facebook does, you know, a week out or a couple days out. It might say I have an event with somebody, and I'm going to forget about it. But if you post it, you know, 6 to 8 weeks out, you know, depending on timeline for photo or for tickets, then, you know, you may have that opportunity to gain more people going to that event than you would if you posted it clear back, you know, in January. So that's my tangent, and pretty much I've talked about that like 10 times already this year in videos. So it will get through to the people that need to get it through in some way or another. So that's kind of how I don't know, like try to group content together, try to streamline content a little bit. That was a huge mass of questions I got when I first posed this out. I was going to do Q&A Tuesday. And like I mentioned, I'm glad I kind of held out because I could talk about Instagram and all of that, which I did earlier, which like some of you popped on later. But I talked a little bit more about Instagram and that integration with Hootsuite and how that can be really helpful. So those kinds of things, you know, really are always changing, hopefully always getting better, because I definitely think that was a huge, you know, boost for Instagram and bringing more people and businesses over to Instagram. And so there's a few things you have to set up in order to be able to do that. And those things, I just did a training on it in my academy, can be found there. And you can, you know, work through that process there. And it's not usually typically too hard to get that set up. And once it's set up, which is great, you never have to deal with it again. It's always integrated there. So that's kind of how I use that. I will tell you I'm a big mobile user, so all of those programs that I talked about, even the National Day of the Week that I get an email on it, so it's kind of a reminder. And so all of that is, I can see that on my mobile device, which I think is key to keeping up to date and making sure that things are, you know, as things change, I'm getting more up to date about it. So Hootsuite, Canva, Adobe Spark, those all have apps that you can use as well. So depending on wherever you are and using that. So that's kind of my spiel for Q&A Tuesday. Hopefully I answered some of those questions. And I will actually probably post this to my blog this week because I know some of those people that asked the questions weren't able to jump on here and they probably were waiting for me yesterday. So I apologize again for that. So I will post this to my blog. Of course, it'll be on the page. And please feel free to ask questions even as the video goes off live. I will check back in and answer those this afternoon. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for the link, Rachel. I'll link some of the things I talked about as well. If you've not ever heard of Hootsuite, you can go check it out for free, as well as Canva and Adobe and the National Days a Week. So everyone have a good day. Hopefully it's not too rainy and gross where you are today, but I'm surprised. I think I heard the rain right before we got on, but I don't hear it right now. So that's good. All right. Have a great one.